Hey y'all, I've got another interview for you. I've got two of my favorite physicians in the entire world here to tell you all about what it takes to become a doctor, what they've been through, how they've chosen their specialty, and what they think about working with APPs, in particular who they want to hire. So you're going to want to check this out. If we haven't met yet, my name is Bree. I'm a nurse practitioner. I make content for nurses, NPs, and students. Welcome to the channel. Y'all, my friends had so much to say. We just talked forever. I had to edit this video down significantly. I'm going to put it in two sections. And in this first video, they're going to talk all about their background, why they chose medicine, how they matched, some of the challenges they faced in missing their 20s, and in the end, is it worth it?
Hi guys, cheers.
Hello.
Cheers.
Okay, so let me make some introductions. This is Dr. Amy Kapoor. She is PGY3 Internal Medicine. I will let her tell you what she's thinking about doing for her fellowship. This is Dr. Kevin Charles, who is Palm Crit board certified and my attending. Okay, so tell me a little bit about your background. So I'll just let y'all take turns. When did you decide you wanted to be a physician?
I actually have a graduation book of grade 6, and it's like, what would you like to be when you grow up? And it says doctor.
Aww.
I don't remember writing that.
Fulfilled that fantasy. Look at that.
I was what, 10 years old, I guess, when you graduate grade 6?
Yeah.
That's weird. But I never really thought about it. I just thought about school and education. My
Yeah.
parents really, really forced education on us very, very seriously. And so my idea was just stay in school as long as possible.
What you can
And so
probably do
med
that
school-
as a doctor.
So med school was...
Doctor or lawyer,
you
one
know,
of the two.
yeah.
There you
So,
go.
Alright,
There you
just
go.
keep going to school,
Natural
I guess.
progression.
And it was just,
Okay.
I like being an eternal student. I think that's what medicine is, really. And you're just always learning every day. And,
Sure.
It's good.
What about you? When did you decide?
So I was like a weird kid who liked going to the pediatrician's office.
Uh-huh.
I enjoyed playing with all the things on the wall, the otoscopes and everything. And so that kind of like, I think, sparked the fire. And I was kind of between law and medicine, but I was always drawn more to medicine because, like Dr. Charles was saying, it's just like endless pool of knowledge, and you can
Sure.
always be better today than you were yesterday. And I always liked that concept. And just having that motivation of treating your patients and going home knowing that, you know, you actually made a difference in someone's life and
Absolutely.
family.
It's a very rewarding career.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
very rewarding.
So then why did you choose to be a physician and not some other specialty? There are so many things you can do in healthcare. Why not become an RT or an ultrasound tech or a nurse or anything else? Why a physician?
So that's actually a pretty easy answer for me. I'd like to be a leader, and so I wanted a career where, you know, I was able to have that autonomy to be able to come up with decisions and not have a lot of people to go to for what do I do today or what do I do with this. So just having that autonomy and being able to call the shots at some point, you know, I mean, I'm just trying to say in simple terms.
No, I know. I see you tiptoeing around it. It's
Yeah. So
I mean, there are a lot of APPs that say that is the biggest downside to what we do. We are not the insult, we are not the attendee, we are not the be all end all. And as a physician, you are. You are the overseer, the leader, the head of the healthcare pyramid, which is the way I like to think about it, with a lot of layers of support underneath it. And so I think it's interesting. It takes a very special person to want to be at the top of that pyramid.
Yeah, that's very interesting, actually, because, you know, I bring up my family a lot because they have a huge influence on me, but they always kind of mention that you should be like the best of whatever you do.
Sure.
And so in my mind, you know, if you thought of all the healthcare careers, it was obvious that you would want to be the doctor, you know.
Gotcha.
It's an awkward thing to talk about because it's like, I want to be the best. I want to be on top.
It totally is.
Like,
and
it's
in
a
this
little
counterculture, you know, we want to be inclusive, we want to be kind to everyone. But I don't think in business we wouldn't do that, right? If we were in business, we would say, no, I'm in this to win. I want to be at the top of my game. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that at all. Some of us just took very different paths.
I respect all the careers. My mom is a nurse, you know, she's a retired infectious disease nurse, and, you know, respiratory therapy, obviously, in critical care, we look to them for so much help. So
and we truly, it's a team effort, and it takes like different levels for things to come together. So you need people from all aspects of the medical field in order to, you know, help your patients.
How did you choose your specialty?
Actually, when I started residency, my first rotation and intern year was pulmonology. And attending, was super involved and loved to teach. And I actually wanted to do surgery first.
Did you?
Wow.
I didn't know
I
that.
wanted to be a
Okay.
surgeon. I don't know why.
Because they're surgeons.
But I applied for surgery and residency, and you know how the match works. I matched into internal medicine, and I was actually very devastated because I wanted to be
Really?
a surgeon. But then I walked into my first rotation, and it was pulmonary, and then my second rotation was ICU, and it was all these procedures, and you know my surgery itch was kind of getting
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
very hands-on.
I like this. Okay, so then I thought pulmonary critical care was perfect. In the end, I was like, this is actually where I was meant to be. So everything really does happen for a reason, because I was so devastated when the match came out.
Really?
I was so mad.
Aww.
But then it worked out, actually,
Yeah.
because I'm very, very happy in pulmonary critical care. It's a
Yeah.
great
So
specialty.
explain the match to me and the rest of us who have no idea. So I know what match is, but I don't think I really understand it. So you don't get to choose or request what you want? Some magic computer in the sky says you will be palm crit?
Yeah, I mean, you can think of it like
Is it based on your grades or your
NFL
lottery?
draft, really,
Or like a
a
lottery. Like a
Okay.
lottery.
Yeah, yeah. So you rate what you want, and then every institution will rate what they want, and then it's literally a match. It's an algorithm of some sort.
Yeah.
So it's not the institution. So the hospital
The hospital,
organizations
yeah,
They
decide
rank you.
based on
The
what?
program.
Based
Yes.
on your
Interview.
grades? Based on your interview.
Yeah,
Yep,
you
yeah.
interview at all
I
these different
see.
places.
Right.
I
First, you have
see.
to get interviews. You know?
Okay.
So you can only rank the ones that interviewed you. So
I see.
if you
And
didn't
you
get-
told them I'm interested in surgery and maybe internal medicine, or
So
how do they
there's
take internal
different
medicine
programs.
for you?
Surgery is a separate program from internal medicine.
So it's a separate match.
It's a
So you
separate-
interviewed for both.
I interviewed for both.
I see.
So the matches together,
I
you
see.
rank everything together. So what I did, because I knew that the internal medicine programs liked me a lot, so for some reason, I ranked them over my surgery.
I see.
So they
You
were-
had a feeling you were hedging your bets.
My surgery interviews didn't go as well. So I was like,
I see.
I don't feel as great about these surgeries, so I'll just put them lower on the rank list.
I see.
So I just matched in my first internal medicine. I was like,
Okay.
oh, oops.
Do you think
was
there
meant
are
to
a
be.
lot of physicians who don't meet their match, and therefore they're in something that they didn't necessarily want to?
I think a lot. I think it's
Let
not.
people settle.
Yeah.
Especially for location. I think
Definitely.
more likely than not, you're not going to get your number one.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're not going to get it.
And if you don't match, then you have to. It's a thing called a SOAP. So then you have to go and you have to almost like reapply again, and you have to apply to places that didn't fill, and then hope to match there.
Yep.
But it's like a scramble process because all the
is.
people that didn't match, they end up everyone's just scrambling for these spots.
Oh, just trying to
So-
get
To anything.
Anything,
you know,
anything,
Family
so.
medicine, OB-GYN, whatever
see.
you
Yeah.
can find
I
at
see.
that point.
But-
then you're
How
not
stressful.
Really deciding.
It's people are either crying that day or popping champagne.
I'm
Yep,
sure.
literally.
Yep.
I'm sure.
Definitely
Yeah.
what happens.
That's yeah. Yeah.
So what about you? So you're in internal medicine now. You're in your final year of internal medicine, and then what?
So to recap on what you guys were talking about earlier, I was one of those people where I matched internal med and I wanted internal med, but I wanted it to be closer to my fiance, now husband. So that put that was a little twist in my life, but he's here now, so it worked out. So it's always important to know that even though you're doing the match, you're probably going to be in a different place. But I am very happy with internal medicine. I want to do rheumatology, and then my other option is internist because I'm very meticulous with how I see my patients, and I like being able to manage multiple comorbidities. And then rheum was interesting because I think the world just needs more rheumatologists.
Oh, for sure. It is a
Right?
very small niche.
Very
out there.
small niche, and I think there just needs to be just more rheumatologists that patients are going to go to, and it's just such a it's such a hot field right now too, with all the new pharmacological advancements and things. It's just interesting.
That's cool. Okay, so for those people who are looking at going into medicine, how long does it take you to get there? You have 4 years of med school.
No, before that, you need a bachelor's degree, so you
Yes.
need to get your
Yeah.
bachelor's, which is 3 or 4 years,
Yeah.
depending, and then you do 4 years of med. And then you get to med school, and you do 4 years of med school, which is pharm, micro, biology, path, anatomy. just 1, 2, 3, and 4 basically. Of
Exactly. They sprinkle in some clinical rotations.
Yeah, especially in your last 2 years, you do rotations in everything. Even if you don't like OB-GYN, you have to do 6
You have
weeks of
exactly.
OB-GYN. Even if you don't like family medicine, you have to do 12 weeks of family medicine.
You don't like anesthesia. Yep.
It just keeps going and going. But then you graduate.
Yeah.
And then you
then you have to do residency.
But you also have board exams that you're studying for at the same time, which, you know, on top of your studies, on top of all your clinical rotations. So that's, you know, a little something that can be a lot.
Yeah, that's
your
one
step
part,
1, step 2, all those.
That's the one part I had no idea of going into med school is the testing.
Yeah.
So you're in residency, but you're working 6 days a week, and then you're also studying for.
By residency, you're studying for, I guess, internal medicine boards.
Yeah.
At the beginning of residency, you're studying for step 3. For most of med school, you're doing step 1, step 2 CK, step 2 CS. So
Yes.
It's a lot of testing.
It's a lot
And then you apply for fellowship,
and then,
which can be, 1 to 3 years, depending on what you go into. So you're 100 years old by the time you get out.
Yeah.
So I remember,
and you have hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt to pay off.
Yeah, usually.
And you deferred all those parties and all that fun time.
I know.
So
All
you're
those
trying to play
weekends.
catch up to all your
Your 20s are
friends who
gone.
have kids.
20s are gone.
Your 20s are completely
100%.
non-existent.
Yeah.
They're gone.
Our 30s are our 20s.
Yeah. You start living in your 30s.
Yeah.
Because in your 20s, I started med school, I was 23. And I started this job, which is my first job out of fellowship, at 34.
Yeah.
So 12 years or so.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
23, and that's after college, you know?
That's your life. That's a big chunk
It
of
was
your
a
life.
big commitment.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's why a lot of people don't do it, you know?
You sacrifice a lot. You miss a lot of family moments. You
Yeah.
travel. I mean, I went to med school in a Caribbean med school, so I actually left home. I was in the Caribbean for 2 years. I did rotations in New York after that. My residency was in Pennsylvania. My fellowship was in Louisiana. So I was just moving everywhere, but I was never home.
And it's a lot, like, on your psyche. Like, I went from, like, Texas to Florida to Georgia. But it's a lot. Like, I think people, like, residents and medical students don't talk about how much it can really affect, like, your psyche in the sense where you just have to always be on and, like, the move. You have to be able to adjust to places really quickly and adapt. I think that, you know, adaption of wherever you are, if you're in a clinic in a new state or whatever, you just have to make it work. And it can be a lot. And you just got to do what you got to do or die kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's kind of like that every day. From med school, residency, fellowship. It's kind of like just every day you feel like you wake up and you're like,
it's a battle.
It's on, let's go.
Yeah.
So so by the time you get out of it, now that I'm like in attending status, definitely there's a difference. You know, it's the blanket is gone. The security blanket you have with med school, fellowship, residency is gone. But at the same time, the autonomy now is yours.
Yeah.
So you can build your art. You can build medicine the way you want to practice it.
Sure.
So it's a good dichotomy, those two things.
So the last question in regards to your careers are, is it worth it? Is it worth missing your 20s and all of those events and all of that money and all of those sacrifices?
The answer is really no.
It's okay, you can be honest.
I would never...
My kids aren't gonna do it.
I would never tell my kids you gotta go to med school.
Nope.
I would never
Investment.
do anything.
Such a well-regarded
It's,
career, so hard, such achievement, and yet most people would tell their children, don't do what I did because of what it did to me. Or
I'll
the
tell
hardship
you,
of it.
I think personally, like, I do love it, and it's very fulfilling, and I feel like my personality, like, goes with the whole criteria it takes, you know. But my thing is like, as humans, we have so many different passions that it just becomes like, it almost has to become like your only passion for a while.
Single-minded.
Exactly. And it's like, there are some people that are able to, like, they're like brilliant. They're able to juggle like a million things. Like, they're like out here doing like salsa dancing and and studying and all this stuff. And like, I was never like that. I just had to be able to study, work out, come home, eat. Like, that was it for me. Yeah. So then everything else gets like a back seat. And sometimes it can kind of like drain you in a way because you're losing that fire and that passion and just being human, you know?
Absolutely.
And
it's all consuming.
It's very consuming in that sense. So,
well, I think as a female, so the main reasons I did not go to I was almost done with my pre-med. I was applying to medical schools. I was applying for the MCAT. I could not reconcile being a mom. I was either going to be a physician and not have children, or I was going to do something else and have a family. And I could not reconcile being a female physician and having children. I just couldn't.
Yeah.
I couldn't
That's a huge
see
I'm
it.
there
I
right
couldn't
now.
see it,
It's
you know?
difficult because like you don't know when the right time is, and I think already being a female ready to have a child, it's never the right time.
Yeah.
But then you're in like residency, fellowship. There's really no right time.
And
You're
then
just
there's a clock,
Yeah.
right? You
There's
guys
a
have
clock.
bylaws.
You're
As a
AMA.
woman, I feel
AMA.
like you have it more. It's just like your
Yeah, that
biological
sucks.
clock is telling you it's time to have babies.
Well, I think, and then when it comes to that, like I will definitely be taking, less hours at the hospital or clinic, whatever I end up doing. I'm gonna have to back off, and that's something my husband and I already talked about. He's like, you're gonna have to be more hands-on, and I'm okay with that,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I'll still be a doctor and a missus, but then a mom, and at the end of the day, being a mom is to me like the biggest thing.
Yeah.
So
It totally is. And now that I'm out here in the world and I see so many brilliant female physicians who are just rocking it. They're doing the mom thing, they're doing their career thing, and they're doing just fine, and none of them talk about how difficult it is.
Mm-hmm.
So in hindsight, I think it probably would have been doable for me. So I would encourage anybody who's on the fence about that, just really consider what your goals are and how present you want to be in your children's life. It is possible to do
It is. And then like one way it can be possible is that I think we live in this age where everything like comes to our doorstep. And so if you don't have time for groceries, call Whole Foods, they'll bring it to you, or Amazon Prime. I mean, there's so many ways. I think doing both, it just comes down to being organized.
Yeah.
And support, your family support, everyone around you,
Exactly.
Village. It takes a village. Like we didn't do this on our own, Like, we had so much support helping us through it all. So I don't want to steer people away from becoming doctors, because I think obviously it's a very elite position. It's a great career, super fulfilling. Why I wouldn't tell my kids is just because it takes forever. It takes away like
You miss
almost
out.
2 decades of your life,
You
really.
miss out on a lot
So
of life.
if you have to really feel it inside of you that this is what you want and this is meant for you and what you want to do. If you're doing it for any other reasons, your parents, the name, whatever, then it's not the right
not worth
reasons.
it.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
And you have to have tough skin. Something I forget as a resident, and I have to remember that, okay, this is just how it's going to be until you graduate, but you're always kind of on the chopping block, where even as like a medical student actually, where it's going to be more like not criticizing, but like more of that negative feedback to kind of build you up. And so a lot of people go into medicine and they can't handle that. So you have to really
like
have
the
a tough
military,
skin.
really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And every day you're 90% is going to be like, well, you did this wrong.
Sure.
And 10% you might get okay, good, you put that order in.
I-
But no, it happens. I mean,
had
that's
a few attendings in residency that I would literally go home and cry.
Yeah.
Because it was just so,
It's just
they
never-
would rip you to shreds.
and that's something that a lot of residents don't talk about, but it sucks in that sense. But you get used to it. Like you're in, like Dr. Charles was saying, you're in the military. You get used to that that energy, and then you just use that energy to fuel you to study more.
And it's because you want it.
Exactly.
Deep down, it's because you want it.
You want it,
Yeah.
exactly.
If you want it hard
Agreed.
enough, then you will get it, no matter what is in your way, what obstacles come, because there are going to be so many roadblocks.
You'll get slaughtered,
You literally, you're gonna get completely murdered and
like with a machete.
My friends had so much to say, and I know that y'all are going to get tons of value from this. So I'm going to end the video here. We're going to do a second phase of this interview that we'll pick up, so be on the lookout for the next video where we talk about interrelations with APPs.
Ooh.
Go for it. I know how to leverage my guests, okay?
I want bloopers. That's what I want.
Yeah. Wait, I still don't know what you guys are talking about. You guys were like, oh, it has to be like da 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 da, and it was like a show or something where you're like, it has to be like that show where they're like drinking or something.
Oh, drug history.
Yeah. What's
Good job. Question number 1, Chug. Woo! Chug now. Chug. Oh, God. Okay.
look out for this hair?
Y'all are doing great.
This is fun.
This is fun.
Yeah, I think we're meant for this.
It is fun, right?